Hi, everybody. I'm Emiliano Lepore, the CEO of Recornea. Recornea is an Italian company, a medtech company specifically focusing in the field of ophthalmology and developing therapeutic corneal implants. Our first device, the Grosso implant, is specifically designed and developed for patients with keratoconus, a progressive eye disease affecting more than 218 million eyes worldwide. Sight is the most important sense for human beings. Recornea is a preclinical stage medtech company specifically focusing in the field of ophthalmology and developing therapeutic corneal implants. Our first device, the Grosso implant, has been designed and developed specifically for patients with keratoconus. We have headquarters in Italy and we are currently fundraising for 1.2 million euros. Today, I would like to talk to you about a progressive eye disease affecting more than 218 million eyes worldwide, with a prevalence much higher in Asia and Middle East compared to Europe and US. This is how these patients are seeing this slide right now. Their corneas are deformed due to a double mechanism of weakening of the collagen fibers and thinning of the cornea itself. The name of the disease they are suffering from is called keratoconus, and this is an example of how these eyes look like. Being a progressive eye disease where we have 1.8 million new eyes to be treated every year, specifically in the stage 2 to 4, which is our target group of patients. We have a total addressable market of 1.1 billion euros at the worldwide level just on an annual basis. And we have a serviceable addressable market of 400 million euros just considering Europe and US, with an 18% market share target by year 5. The problem that these patients have to face right now is that they have to go through a combination of two surgical techniques, the cross-linking and the intracorneal segments. The cross-linking is a therapeutic treatment with riboflavin applied on the cornea with UV irradiation. On the other side, the intracorneal segments are a polymeric product using applied incision with a femtosecond laser incision. The cross-linking is effective in limiting the progression of the disease, but has no effect in vision. The intracorneal segments, on the other side, were initially developed for patients with myopia to decrease astigmatism and corneal abnormalities, and adopted just as a secondary use for patients with keratoconus. And this leads to being non-effective in at least 50% of the keratoconus cases. Being a progressive eye disease, if left untreated, keratoconus leads to total blindness, which then means the need of a corneal transplant, a procedure emotionally and psychologically intense with long waiting lists, to which just 3% of the keratoconus patients have really access to, and in any case, there are costs and risks associated very high with the procedure. What we have developed at Recornea is the first nitinol-based corneal implant to treat keratoconus efficiently, the Grosso implant, where the uniqueness is in the curvature of the device, similar to the physiological curvature imposed during the manufacturing process to the device and then by the device to the corneal tissues after the implantation. We are placing the Grosso implant in direct competition with the intracorneal segments and as a complementary treatment with cross-linking. So the Grosso implant to improve vision in mid and late stage keratoconus, the cross-linking to limit the progression in early and mid-stage keratoconus. The device is fully developed, and this is done with contract manufacturers certified 13485. We have a patent granted in Italy and extended in the 8 geographies listed in the slide. In terms of the market of keratoconus, we are starting from patients at stage 3 and 4, where there is a lack of current solutions available and where we can make the difference. This will be our first target group, especially for the clinical trials. We are then going to extend to reach also patients at stage 2, counting for 80% of the total addressable market of keratoconus patients. In terms of clinical studies, we have done tests on both human corneas and explanted pig eyes to validate the design assumptions and the surgical procedures. In the 2 centers partners with us in this project, the Institute of Ocular Microsurgery at IMO in Barcelona in Spain, and the Hospital of Toulouse in France. We were able to validate the ability of the device to bring regularity to the anterior surface of the cornea with a material safe and biocompatible, very well known in the field of cardiology, and recently also adopted in the field of ophthalmology. we were also able to maximize the ratio between stiffness and thickness to achieve the proposed outcome. We are also going to go through a very standard and straightforward surgical procedure with a side cut of 3.5 millimeter incision for a complete and precise remodeling of the entire cornea, as opposed to what is currently happening with the intracorneal segments applied just peripherally with no action in the central part of the eye where actually the problem is. We are preparing ourselves for the first multicentric pilot clinical trial, 12 patients starting next year in the same 2 centers we are working with during the preclinical phase. In terms of the team, I'm Emiliano, the CEO with a background in biomedical engineering. Recornea is my 3rd startup, and the first 2 ones we exited through an IP licensing agreement. Moses, the CSO, has a background in biochemistry and molecular biology with more than 10 years of experience in running clinical trials in both biopharmaceuticals and medical devices in Uganda, UK, and Singapore. Arcadio and Thomas are complementing the team on the regulatory and product design. We received 2 pre-seed rounds from Entrepreneur First in Singapore and G-Factor from Italy. On the advisory board, we have Aldo Coquiglia with long experience in building and selling ophthalmic companies between Europe, Japan, and US. On the clinical side, Professor Gell and Professor Malekazé, they are key opinion leaders in the field of keratoconus, and Eduardo Grosso as a co-inventor of the device and on board as co-founder and advisor. We are building a network of key opinion leaders in the different geographical areas of interest for the commercialization and distribution of the Grosso implant. We are right now in the preclinical phase, and the milestones in the next 18 months are specifically to end the preclinical trials and the pilot clinical trial, to then target the CE mark towards the end of 2024, so to be able to commercialize the product in Europe. We got a 1.6 million euro grant from the European Commission, which is currently running. And on the top of the grant, we are currently fundraising for 1.2 million euro. To bring us up to the end of the pilot clinical trial. In terms of exit strategy, we want to bring the example of Avedro, specifically in the field of keratoconus, with the UV cross-linking acquired by Glaucus for $500 million in 2019 in US. We have more than 1 contract manufacturer, and we have LOIs signed with ophthalmic companies and distributors of ophthalmic products in the different geographical areas of interest for a final selling price 600 to 1,000 euros per device. We have cumulative net cash flow estimated for 117 million euros by year 5. Winning the European grant, we were in the top 5% most innovative companies in Europe in 2019, and last year we were also in the top 10% most innovative companies in the Asia-Pacific area with MedTech Innovator. Thank you.